What's up guys, James here from Boot Wizard, and today it is the main event of boot battles. Which of these boots is going to come out on top in the World Heavyweight Championship match? Which has the pedigree? Which one is the man? Which one is the animal? Which one is the architect of the speed boot? Sorry, I've been watching Wrestlemania, I'm overexcited. It's the Mercurial against the X. That's pretty exciting too, though. Boot battle. Let's go. For those of you who haven't seen a boot battle before, let's skip over to our boot battle explainer. In a boot battle, we take two boots and we put them head to head over 6 rounds, covering all the key categories of football boots. We score these rounds like it's a boxing match. 10 points to the winner of the round, 9 points to the loser. Unless that one round is an absolute destruction. If one boot ends up on the canvas, it is scored at 10-8. Whichever boot has the most points at the end on the judges' scorecard is the winner. Thank you to that handsome bearded man for that explainer. Let's get on with the boot battle.
Look at the stare of the champion against the challenger.
Okay, round 1, looks. For the looks, we only really concentrate on the silhouette of the boot. We don't really bother with the colorway, because obviously they come in a whole heap of different colorways. So for this one, you'll also notice we are using the Superfly for the Mercurial and not the Vapor. Superfly 6, Vapor 12, they are the same boot, apart from the Superfly has this little collar. So overall, for me, this is fairly straightforward actually. I prefer the X. So I'm giving the win for round 1 to the X. 10-9. Okay, let's talk about the upper, specifically the touch on the ball. So these are both made from very different uppers. This is a knitted upper with Flyknit. This is a mesh-based synthetic with speed mesh. This is a far more barefoot sensation on the ball. This is a more padded sensation, even though they are both very thin boots. Neither of them offer particularly much in the way of texturing. This is very smooth. This has some textured ribbing, but it doesn't really do anything. So overall, for touch on the ball, my personal preference is the X. However, that's because I prefer a slightly more padded feel on the ball. We are talking speed boot today. So the most authentic speed boot touch on the ball comes from the Mercurial. It is much thinner and more barefoot, and you feel more connected to the ball. So I'm going to give it, despite my personal preference, to the Mercurial.
I cannot believe this! I'm absolutely in shock.
Okay, value for money. Can we consider either of these boots good value for money? This retails for €270, this for 220. You can pick up the Vapor, which doesn't have the Flyknit collar, and that will retail for 240. So the X is a little bit cheaper, especially when you get the X18.1 with the laces, which is what we're looking at today. In all honesty, no, neither of these are good value for money. A boot over €200 can't really be considered good value for money in my eyes. It's because they're Nike and they're Adidas, they charge a little bit more than everybody else. They can get away with it. They're the biggest brands. And in all honesty, they do make the best boots. But are they good value for money? Absolutely not. It's a draw. It's 10-all. If you're going to buy either of these boots, get them on sale and get them in older colorways. Save yourself some money. I'm not saying they're bad boots, I'm not saying you shouldn't buy them, I'm just saying top-end boots at the moment are crazy prices. Okay, let's talk weight. This is nice and simple. Lightest boot wins the round, starting with the Mercurial. Mercurial weighs in 201 grams. That is a very light boot. Anything around the 200 gram mark is a very good weight for a speed boot. Remember, the Vapor will be slightly lighter. You won't be able to notice it on feet. Maybe a couple of grams at most. But 201 grams for the Mercurial. Next up, let's take the X. X weighs in 195 grams. So there's not a lot of difference between them. The X18.1 is slightly lighter. The 18 Plus is heavier than the 18.1. So do remember that. But let's go exactly what we've got in front of us. 18.1 Mercurial Superfly. It's 10-9. It's a win just marginally for the X. Okay, traction, sole plates and stud patterns. So the traction on these, starting with the sole plates, this has a split sole design with the 360 Flyknit wrap, as you can see there, and in all honesty, the most aggressive traction on the market comes in the form of a Mercurial. You cannot beat how aggressive this traction is. The X has a very nice sole plate. I really enjoy the speed frame. It's the same as the old sprint frame, different name. I really like it. I think it's a fantastic sole plate. The stud pattern really lets it down. It is these mini chevron studs. It is reasonable. It's not particularly aggressive. And honestly, it feels like most of everything else from Adidas. For this one, it's a no-brainer. The Mercurial, best aggressive traction on the market, if that's what you're looking for, and we're talking speed boot, so that is what we're looking for. This is a knockdown. It is 10-8 to the Mercurial. Okay, let's talk fit and comfort between these two speed boots. Speed boot is the very important term here, so these should be very responsive. They should have a thin upper that wraps your foot and gives you a barefoot-like feel. This is what makes a speed boot fit like a speed boot. Starting with the X, I think the comfort in this is pretty much unrivaled. I think it's the most comfortable speed boot you can possibly get, and it offers amazing heel lockdown, especially with these two pods holding your foot in. And I do recommend the 18.1 over the 18 Plus because the lockdown is a million times better. Not a fan of the 18 Plus. In terms of the wrap of the foot, it is a tight fit, but does it give me a tight barefoot feel as I'm playing? Maybe lacks in the barefoot feel category just a little bit. The Mercurial, on the other hand, I don't find as comfortable. It has the 360 wrap into an anatomic sole plate, which makes me feel super connected to the boot. That is really important for the fit of this boot. Again, has the lacing system for the lockdown and the Flyknit upper on this is really good. Wraps your foot and gives you a more true barefoot sensation than the X does. So overall, which one am I picking? This is another situation where I personally prefer the X, even though I really like the anatomic sole plate on the Mercurial. But we're talking speed boot, authentic speed boot experience. So it has to go to the Mercurial.
Listen to the ovation!
Alright, the judges have counted the scorecards. The referee has rung the bell. The Beast, the Stone Cold Stunner, the People's Speed Boot is the Mercurial Superfly 6 and Vapor 12. Win. I've tried to score this based on what I think a speed boot should be. Barefoot, lightweight, responsive, and that's why the Mercurial takes it. It's very difficult to beat the Mercurial in a speed boot battle at the moment. However, having said that, my personal preference is actually the X. I prefer to wear the X18.1 over the Vapor or the Superfly. mainly because I enjoy the touch on the ball a lot more and I really enjoy the extra padding. But that's my personal preference. I enjoy a more padded, comfortable boot against a very authentic barefoot speed boot. So take away from this what I've given you in terms of what's the authentic speed boot, but remember, your personal preference does make a big difference. Alright guys, that is everything from me. Do put down in the comments and let me know what you would have gone for. Would you have gone for the X? Would you have gone for the Mercurial? What is your speed boot preference? Remember to like the video if you did enjoy this and you want to see future boot battles, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. But that's all from me here today at Boot Wizard. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon. Would love them to get that anatomic sole plate or something similar into this speed frame though. Love this speed frame. Anatomic speed frame? Oh.